my goal is just like shoot it as you see it as it is, and then it's timeless.
Welcome back to Art Estate. I'm your host, Nicole Romanoff, and today we have an incredible guest joining us, Lisa Catherine. Lisa is an internationally acclaimed luxury fine art, wedding, editorial, and portrait photographer whose work is absolutely breathtaking. With over 14 years of experience, she has mastered the art of storytelling through elegant, timeless imagery. Her work has graced the pages of Style Me Pretty, Brides, Belle Lumière, and Wedding Sparrow, and she's been named one of Canada's best wedding photographers. In this episode, Lisa shares her journey into fine art photography, her love for film, and how she built a thriving luxury brand. We talk about the power of community, the importance of staying inspired, and why she believes experience is the ultimate game changer in photography. Plus, she drops some exciting news about her latest venture, taking over Belle Lumière Magazine. If you've ever wondered how to elevate your work, create a signature style, or find balance in the creative industry, this episode is for you. So grab a coffee, settle in, and let's get started. So do you Photoshop any of your work?
A little bit. So I just usually use Lightroom, and it's just like very minimal retouching and yeah, no, I'm not like, you couldn't really ask me to swap a head really. I've done it, but I have to like look step by step. I'm not like super.
No, it's a pain in the butt. You're mostly a film photographer, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, but also digital. I've heard some conversations about like the film.
Yeah.
I would never not also shoot digital.
Mm-hmm.
So anything I shoot on film, I'm also shooting on digital just for like a backup.
Okay.
Yeah. And then
smart. I think a lot of people do that. Or I guess the few people that I've chatted with, that seems to be also their method as well, which is, it's smart because there's so many unknowns and so much risk with just shooting film, I think. You know, like if you shoot the digital, then you can quickly back it up and there's just a lot more, I think, peace of mind, really.
Yeah, peace of mind. And then too, of course, like then you have your piece to match your digitals to your film and all that. But yeah.
What kind of cameras do you use?
I was worried about this question. I told my husband, like, oh my God, they're going to ask me about my gear. And he's like, just own it. So I have two mirrorless digital cameras. And then my film camera is a Contax 645. So it's like the big guy.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. But like my digital cameras, like one's a Sony, one's a Fuji. That's all I know.
Yeah.
I would have to like phone a friend to find out the actual answer for you. But no, I'm not like
a technical shooter.
No.
A lot of people aren't. And I think that's okay. I don't consider myself a technical shooter at all. In fact, I feel like SJ has turned me into more of a technical shooter, but that is definitely not, it doesn't feel natural to me.
Right. Or that's not your passion.
It's secondary for sure. Because really, what comes first is like the feeling and that creation element and just feeling a little bit more like artistic and free and not stuck to, oh gosh, am I at the right aperture or whatever it is technically.
Yeah.
But,
no, it's funny that the guys tend to be a little more into the gear. Like my husband, he knows all about the gear.
Yeah.
And like the film camera, that was the one I knew that I wanted. And so that's kind of my baby. And I know that one inside and out. But yeah, the digital stuff is just, I mean, it does the job for me. And but I just, no, I couldn't tell you like all the specifics at all.
So why did you choose the Contax 645? What was it that you fell in love with or knew that that's what you wanted?
So when I first started really falling in love with that fine art look, when would this have been? Like back in 2015, 2016, or even 2014 maybe. And that's when like Jose Villa and Eric McVeigh were like really big on the scene.
Okay.
And they used the Contax 645. And so that's when film was really making its like resurgence. And so I was just kind of, following what I loved and made the leap to just go straight for that one. And haven't looked back. I actually sold it a few years ago and regretted it. And then I had to rebuy it for way more money. But
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, no, I was sad to have let it go. So,
and do you have multiple lenses for it, or is there just one lens that you just kind of gravitate to?
Yeah. So the lens for that camera is the Zeiss 80 millimeter.
Okay. So that's fairly tight. Wouldn't it be like fairly? Yeah.
Yeah. So it's comparable to like my 50, I think, on my digital camera.
Okay, right.
But I have, multiple like film inserts and things like that. But no, that's pretty much the only lens that stays on that camera.
Nice.
Yeah.
And just because I'm curious, I do ask a lot of people this question, but what film do you love using?
Yeah. So the Fuji 400H is still I can't move away from that. It's been discontinued.
Okay.
Which scared a lot of the film photographers. We're just like, oh, we're not going to love what we're shooting anymore. Like it's, that iconic fine art film look is going to be gone. So a lot of people switch to Portra 400, which I have. I haven't shot it yet. I'm too scared too because I don't want to like not love it.
Right.
So I did stockpile and buy a bunch of Fuji 400H. So I still have some left.
How much is a roll of film?
Oh man, now they're. I think that it's at least $20 a roll, and then like another $20 to get it developed US.
And is that 12 exposures?
16. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then for black and white, I like Delta 3200.
Nice.
Or Ilford Delta, yeah.
And do you use that for like parties, like receptions?
Yeah, I will, because it's more like you can shoot in lower light easier with that. But I like to just pull it out like during getting ready, or if we're doing something like really pretty editorial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it.
But then
your
you
work.
have to, then you're stuck shooting, all black and white until you're done those 16 frames. So,
yeah. Where do you get your film developed?
So I send it to PhotoVision in Oregon.
Okay.
Yeah, I had sent it to Richards as well. But again, like some of the photographers that I really admired were using PhotoVision. So, so yeah, I sent it there.
Yeah. And do you get them printed as well?
No.
Okay.
No, just the digital files.
Okay.
So.
Yeah.
But it's like Christmas when they come.
Oh, isn't it exciting?
So exciting.
It really is.
Yeah.
Opening your email and seeing them.
Yeah.
Do you get the negatives sent back, or do you have them destroyed? Which that sounds
lately,
like such a scary term.
I know. Lately, I've been destroying them a little bit because I have so many.
Right. Like what
am I
with
doing
them?
with all these negatives that I'm never going to go and redevelop likely. So I have a bunch, but I don't know. It depends on the project. If it was like a super big or important one, I'd probably hang on to the negatives, but yeah. How about you? What do you shoot on?
Well, primarily I shoot on a Canon R5. For a second, I was also like, what the heck do I shoot on?
SJ? Yeah.
And then I do dabble in film as well.
Okay.
But as I said in the last episode, I'm intimidated by film.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I just need to practice more with it. I would even like to practice using my strobes with film. I haven't done that yet, but I would like to. I love the look of film. I love that feeling of getting the film back.
Yeah.
It's definitely more of a challenge and pushes me out of that comfort zone a lot more
just because you don't have the immediate feedback, or?
Well, I think just because it's not familiar to me, like I could close my eyes and just easily like change the settings on my,
right.
R5 versus it takes me, like, there's so much more thought that goes into me using my film cameras, like even like lighting wise, like I just,
do you have a light meter?
Yeah, I do have a light meter, and I feel like even that I'm still like learning.
Okay. See, I feel the opposite way.
Interesting. Yeah, well, you must just use film more, right?
Yes, but I just trust it. Like the process, it's like, okay, well, it's going to read the light for me. I just need to set it to this setting based on my light meter and go. And then I'm just a much more intentional, better photographer, I think, when I'm shooting film, because you know that you need to compose it right in camera.
And focusing too is just, I think that's a big thing, because with my R5, I just press back button focus and it like snaps the eye, and it's like,
if you
everything
move
is
at
crisp.
all, then like, you have to be really still.
I recently purchased the Mamiya RZ67 or RZ67, and I love it, but I just find like it takes me about a minute to like Because I guess I'm just scared of it being out of focus. Like I just want it.
Yeah,
to
no,
turn
I
out.
get that.
If
You're
there's
like, okay,
10
like,
frames.
Don't breathe. Hold really. Yeah.
And it's going to be like basically in the end, like $5 an image. Like I just want, but maybe I just need to let go of that and just lean into making more mistakes with it.
100%.
But let's talk about you.
Okay.
Lisa.
Yeah.
Lisa Catherine. I'm so excited that you're here.
Thanks for inviting me.
Long time admirer of your work. I was looking at your website today and your Instagram, and I feel like I'm just looking through a magazine. Everything is so beautiful. I'm so curious about like your process and how you got to where you are today with your business and your brand and the evolution. I'm super excited. So let's start off by just telling the audience just a few things about yourself or just a little background.
Yeah. Okay. Well, first of all, thanks for inviting me to be here. This is actually very outside of my comfort zone. Like I don't put like pictures of myself. I'm never on Instagram. So, and it's not that I'm trying to be super guarded. I think I'm just like holding on to that last little ounce of privacy in a very like voyeuristic world. But anyway, this feels comfortable. So
good.
Yeah. No, I'm Lisa. I'm a creative. I think that means that I think like most creatives or photographers, like we're rarely just photographers, right? Like you're dabbling in painting and so many, like there's so many other art forms like dance and music.
Yes.
So just a creative at heart. I'm a mommy, but I wanted to remind myself not to lead with that because I don't want to just identify as that. I think for a long time, I lost myself in the mom role and completely forgot that there is actually a person here. So, but I am a mommy of 3 girls. But
where are you from?
So I grew up in a few small towns, and then I spent most of my childhood in Regina, and then we moved to Saskatoon 2012, I think, and haven't looked back. Saskatoon's great.
Did you meet your husband and then move to Saskatoon? Is that what happened?
Yeah, so we were already married. We had our first baby, and then his job took us here.
So are you telling me you have a teenager?
I have a teenager. She's 13.
What?
Yeah, and a 2-year-old and a 9-year-old.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
We're in all the sizes of clothes and all the different things.
Yeah.
And it's great though. Like she's my best friend. They all are.
Was it difficult managing being a business owner with children?
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's been probably one of the hardest challenges. Like, okay, so when she was born, Ella, she came early, but I had to photograph a wedding the day after I got out of the hospital.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I wouldn't wish that on anybody. That was the hardest thing I've probably ever had to do. But then from there, like, you know, we have our summers and we're so busy shooting weddings, but you want to just like be home with your kids too. And then my husband, he's very busy in the summer as well. And then finding childcare to watch, you know, all these kids while you're gone for 12 hours a day or for the weekend if it's an out of town wedding. So yeah, definitely a challenge. But I think part of the reason why I got into it in the first place was when I became a mom and I knew I wanted to, you know, be home with them as much as I could and create my own hours, then this just felt like a really good, you know,
fit for you.
Yeah, exactly.
How did you discover photography?
I think it's always been there. Like I mean, I think a lot of us have like pictures of like our porcelain dolls in our room from when we were kids. Yeah. And then like I remember just even on road trips, I'd look out the window and just in my mind's eye, just think, oh, that would be a really pretty picture or that would be a really pretty picture. And then like, of course, in high school, I took a darkroom class and that was really cool. And even the smell of the chemicals were just like, I don't know, like if you know, you know, maybe that's weird, but there was just something about it.
The process of it and even putting in the paper in the water or the chemicals, I should say, not the water, but and then seeing the image come to life is it's a pretty cool experience.
Pretty magical, yeah. And then I worked with at-risk youth, and then it came around to choosing a photographer for our wedding day, and I have to be careful, but I just felt like I could create more of what I wanted. And so I just kind of went for it.
You had a need that wasn't being met that you felt like you could
that's a good way of
fulfill.
Putting it. Yeah, for sure.
And was it mostly style?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who are your greatest influences?
Like photographers or in general?
Sure. In general, like when you first picked up your camera, was there a certain photographer that you felt inspired to create similar work to?
Not so much back then. It was more just the style of something really clean and timeless. I think when I got married, there was a lot of like heavy filters on all the images, which now totally dates.
Yeah, I remember thinking that at the time. I was like, why are we doing this?
Yeah.
It's going to date.
Yeah, 100%. I can look at an old picture and be like, oh, well, that was 2010, you know?
Yeah.
And there's a little bit of that happening right now too. So my goal is just like, you know, shoot it as you see it as it is. And then it's timeless. Like there's pictures that I've taken from 15 years ago that you can't tell that they weren't shot today, right? Like they've just, and that's the nice thing about film as well, is it's just really natural.
Yeah.
But I love like Katie Mary. She's great.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Jessica Rose, she's like more of a peer, and she's from Canada, but she relocated to LA. I just think she's such an artist as well. Just creatives in general. Like when you know somebody's really passionate about their art form, like even, I mean, it could be a writer or a musician. Yeah, just creatives in general. I'm fascinated by. It's like what makes you do what you do? What makes you tick? What makes you passionate? Yeah.
When you were starting your business and really adapting your style or figuring out your style, did you attend any workshops because when I look at your work, I'm like, God, like how did you style all that and like location plan and that sort of thing? Did you build your portfolio with others?
Pretty early on, I started investing in workshops and things. And I haven't stopped just because I love it so much. Like I love to just play at a shoot and just have the freedom to kind of capture what I want to capture for me. I think that's so important to hang on to that. So I took a workshop when I first got my contacts, and that was like huge for me. And then soon after that one, I took Eric McVeigh's, which was his last one, and it was with Ginny On. She's a stylist and she's incredible. Like I think you would love her. It's very much like
the studio.
Yeah. She's just brilliant with how she can just pick apart something and just the way her mind works. So very fortunate to have met and learned from mentors like that. And I've continued to do workshops since, and it's just really, you know, you want to shoot what you want to attract, right? So yes, they can be a big investment, but I've always made my money back and more every time.
You don't lose out with education or learning or just those like gatherings of getting together with creatives.
Yeah.
You know?
Doesn't it feel so good? And
it does,
that was something that you had said in an episode once that I really resonated with, was that you kind of missed out on kind of the connection or the community among other photographers.
Yes.
And I that totally resonated with me. And wasn't even intentional. I just kind of had other priorities and maybe became too busy and didn't prioritize that. But now I just love connecting, and there's just, you know,
so important,
the connection and community. Like we relate to things that nobody else can. So it's so nice when I do attend a workshop and we're sitting down having dinner and we're all sharing like horror stories from weddings or just like the process that nobody else can really relate to. And
definitely.
It's so great. Very therapeutic.
I'm so fascinated by you because we live in a small city, or what do you call it? Medium? Small.
Well, it depends who you ask.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's compared to like Toronto or something like
exactly.
that. But I just feel like you're killing it. Like looking at your work, and you just are so successful. And when I told other people that you're going to be on the podcast, they're like, whoa, she lives here. Aww. Like people are just amazed by you, and I think also intrigued by you too.
Well, right, there's that mysterious piece, and again, you guys, it's not intentional. Like I'm, and I don't want to come off standish, which I think I tend to, but it's just
really?
like
I don't think you do.
Well, good.
Yeah,
well, because we're talking, right? You just have to start that conversation with me, and then I'm an open book for the most part. But I think I'm kind of naturally maybe more observant and shy initially, and then.
Yeah. And that's okay. I always think like lead with who you are. Right. Yeah. What I really am interested about is building a luxury brand. How did you decide that was kind of the niche that you wanted to go after?
It certainly became the weddings I felt most passionate about shooting. I think for a long time, and I've heard other photographers say this too, was you get kind of burnt out. And when you're burnt out and you're not loving what you're shooting, you don't want to shoot it. Like, so I've actually stepped away from photography a couple times before coming back to it. And it's also usually been after I just had a baby, and then my priorities change and I lose myself and then I find myself again. But I mean, I love the world of beautiful gowns and gorgeous florals, and certainly like building my portfolio through different workshops helped attract that attention. And you want to share what you want to keep shooting, and you want to shoot what you love. So is the majority of your work outside of Saskatoon? Do you travel a lot for work? Yeah, unfortunately, I would love to shoot more here just because it's so hard on my little family every time I have to go somewhere, especially with our littlest. But there's actually has been more local. So like I've had like pretty big weddings in Regina, and there's another big wedding coming up in Saskatoon this summer. But yeah, I try to stay in Canada at least. So a lot of Alberta, Ontario, some BC. But yeah. Do you have any favorite spots to shoot in Saskatoon? Saskatoon. I'm going to guess. Okay. The university? Oh, yes. Okay. Thank you for reminding me. I love the university. Yeah. So you're like a Greystone girl. Yeah. Greystone. Yeah. I love how it can look kind of European. Yeah. So anything that kind of has that European vibe. Yes. Okay. Yeah. And a few years ago, it would have just been like fields and barns, you know. I loved just kind of something more like natural. Like I love shooting more like a naturalized landscape that's not like super groomed. I like shooting, you know, by the river. There's certain places over there. But yeah, more recently, it's definitely the university. Okay. Yeah. How many weddings do you take on in a year? Do you have a cap? I don't like to shoot more than like 12 to 15 in a year. I feel like that starts to feel like a lot for me. Right. And then when I have a little one, then I scale right back because that just is too intense. So, and I actually, with my 2-year-old, I actually gave myself a bit of a maternity leave for the first time out of all 3 girls. Good. Yeah. So took some time off and then was ready to kind of go full force into it. And then I lost someone very close to me in 2024. And so that kind of, again, shifted my priorities away from work for a little while. And thankfully then we started Ensemble. So with Joanne and Raven, this kind of styled shoot retreat. And that, again, reignited my kind of drive to get back into business. And nice. Yeah. Let's just chat about that for a second. Sure. So that's coming up, right? Yeah. In April 22nd. Okay. And is it, it's a few days? Just one day. Just one day. Yeah. We're just doing one day. And this one isn't like workshop based. It's just, we're hosting like a styled editorial shoot, luxury wedding, like a full day, all the things. And inviting photographers to come and shoot it and build their portfolio and build community and connection with other photographers. And how many photographers are you hoping to bring? Yeah, so we've reached our cap of 8. But there's still a couple that we're hoping to, so we might open up a couple more seats. That's exciting. Yeah. That's a lot of work though. It's been a lot of work, but it's fun work, you know? Yeah. Like we love, like we'll get together and I mean, we chat for way too long about all the plans, but no, it's been fun. And it's something that I've always wanted to do. So it's kind of just this stockpile of all these ideas and things that are already there that we just now need to just bring to life. And then just finding the vendors and then promoting it and that sort of thing. That's awesome. Yeah. I love those. So where is it? So it's in the Okanagan. Okay. Yeah. At this gorgeous, was really someone's home. It's Chateau Okanagan. Okay. They're kind of renting out as for venues and stuff. So nice. Yeah. We had our virtual tour. Can we learn about it more on your website? Yes. So I think you just go kind of /Ensemble Okanagan. That'll take you to more info, or on Instagram, there's like a highlight reel for where you'll find all the details there. Yeah. Oh, I'm excited to see more about this. I would love to come, honestly. I'm going to check my calendar. Okay. Honestly. Do you do commercial work as well? Commercial work? I don't like, depends what you mean. So I do editorials where I shoot like campaigns for this one bridal line. Mm-hmm. Is that what you mean?
I would say,
work?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Working with larger brands, that sort of thing. But editorial work, your editorial work is amazing.
Thank you.
For people that are maybe confused with what editorial means, can you explain that?
To me, it means being given a concept and just kind of a baseline of what somebody wants from you. So this particular company, Noon on the Moon, they come to me with kind of a feel that they're going for. They might have like a couple inspirational images. And then lately they've just been shipping it to me. And I have to just think of how to bring it to life. So I just get into the mind of the venue we're using, their pieces, and just really kind of become that. So I'll use music to help me get into that space. Nice. And just really try and become the character that I think is in front of me. And then hopefully that reflects back at the camera.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
so
is this a bridal company? Like
so
gowns?
So they make their own gowns specifically for the shoot, but they don't sell gowns. So they're like luxury veils and hair adornments and earrings and things like that.
Oh,
yeah.
nice.
Yeah, no, their stuff is gorgeous.
And they send it to you?
They have, yeah. So the last one they have. So they just, shipped us their collection and we had to just figure out how to lay that all out and kind of compose the images. And then the campaign before that, they weren't there for either. They shipped it, but there was a planner in place and so she coordinated. And
that's great.
And no, it's nice to feel that full trust. That's a good feeling to have.
I actually don't shoot weddings anymore because the pressure was just like too much.
I know.
Whereas when you get to work on editorials and like commercial work, it's, there's still a pressure involved, but it's different. It's almost like on your terms.
Exactly.
Sort of thing.
Yeah.
Do you prefer that or do you like the mix of both?
I also feel the pressure on a wedding day. Yeah. Like you can be prepared, but only so prepared. And I've shot hundreds of weddings, but it's still like you're at, you've got the weather and that's going to do its thing and the lighting and where you're shooting and you've got a timeline and a tight timeline. Right. So those, like my head is usually spinning at the end of a wedding day. There's just so much to think about and like really no room for error certainly, or even like you just really get to spread your wings creatively when you're working on an editorial, right? And you're meant to. Yeah. Whereas when you're shooting a wedding, it's kind of, yes, you can be creative and you should be and read the environment and make sure it's cohesive and aesthetic for your client, but you're shooting wedding photos, right? And you can't really take it where you can maybe necessarily take an editorial, in my opinion anyway. Yeah.
You've been featured in a lot of big magazines.
Yeah. I've been published a few times. Yeah, Style Me Pretty. I got the front page of that one. And there's been Wedding Sparrow and Magnolia Rouge. And I've been print in Rocky Mountain. And there's a good list. And I feel for photographers now because so many of those blogs or companies are really pulling back. Like they're not really what they were, or you have to kind of pay to play type of thing. So
and before it was more submission based.
It was submission based, but you had to be tight with it, right? Like I've definitely had my fair share of rejections before getting the yeses. So.
Do you still submit to magazines?
I do not. I'm not as hungry for it as I was, just because I've been able to collect the ones that I really was after. Yeah, I will start again. But yeah, I'll have to get a feel for where I want to, right? It's just, it keeps changing. So to kind of stay on the pulse of that is a whole skill. So
how big of a role do you think being published plays in getting more work, like more paid jobs or more of the work that you want to do?
I think it depends. I think for photography, like for weddings, some couples, they couldn't care less, right? There's some couples that are really excited about that. And for editorial work and even just getting to collaborate with vendors, it is important because they want to know what they're going to get out of it as well. And yes, it's images, but also the reach of being published. So if you can say like, we're going to be, submitting this for publication, that usually helps quite a bit. Right. With getting those relationships going.
Yeah. Do you have any dream editorial, like print magazines that you would love to be in?
Well, I've got Vogue on my manifestation board for this year. I mean, that's a bit of a stretch, and it doesn't even need to be Vogue. But I think I want to get another shoot published this year for sure. Yeah. How about you?
Well, there's a lot of Vogues, actually. I feel like it is possible for you.
Okay.
But
Thank you.
of course. Like I would love L'Officiel or like an Elle or Vogue as well would be a dream. Yeah. It just... it takes time.
It's quite daunting, right? Even the submission process. Like you have to have all the info.
Oh my gosh. And then it's, months out. So you have to be looking, like right now it's almost spring here, but in the fashion world, it's fall, winter, right? So kind of like playing that game of like getting ahead of it and like thinking like location wise and submission wise. And I guess for myself, it's true. I deal with self-doubt a lot. Do you feel that too when you submit or like have these bigger goals of or dreams of being in larger publications?
I think if you asked me that a few years ago, I would say yes. I've just, for whatever reason, I don't know if it's just getting older, I just kind of don't care about the try not to take myself too seriously anymore, right? And just if you don't believe in yourself, who will, right? So just go for it. Like, what have you got to lose?
Right, exactly.
So I mean, if it's a no, it's a no. Like that's the worst case. That's as bad as it's going to get. But if you don't try, you'll never know. So you just have to kind of go for it and believe in yourself. And having that attitude has really got me to certain places that I, and trusting your own ability and instinct, right? Like, because if you got the advice, say you went to a close friend and you said, oh, like, what do you think of this? Should I go for it? And if that's not something that they could see themselves doing, or even believing that somebody else could do, they might, direct you away from it.
Right. Oh, that's
so there's so many
true.
things that I've just done without the opinion or the approval of anybody else. Yeah. Because they might not see themselves doing that, but I could see myself, and it usually turns out. So,
right. Yeah. Well, I remember going to a workshop and in LA, and there was this photographer who was there from Hawaii, and he was saying, yeah, I guess I always just figured if my work was good enough, they would come to me. And then she's like, oh, no. No, that's not how this game works. You need to get out there and you need to get in front of them. And it might be a no now, but it might not be a no in 6 months. And so kind of like reframing it in rejection being a tool to get better. Yep. Even in your pitch, like get better in your pitch, like how can you improve? Just that reframe, I think is more helpful than taking rejection as like a personal dig.
As hard as that is. Yeah.
Right? There's like easier said than done.
Yeah, for sure.
But
there's always something to learn from it. You just have to kind of get over your ego, get over yourself. Yeah.
Totally.
When I go on my evening walks, I listen to the We Can Do Hard Things podcast. And they were talking about how and I don't know if I want to really get too deep into this, but as part of your personality, there's like a bunch of you sitting at a table, right? And there's one head person. And so that person that's like, oh, I don't know, the person in charge has to say like, okay, I hear you. We'll deal with this later. And then just like take control of the wheel again. Yeah. And that person is just kind of like a toddler having a tantrum. I find when I have like an intrusive thought, all you have to do apparently is just say, okay, I hear you. We'll get to it later. Right. And then it'll like quiet right down.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And we're human. Like there's something also very endearing about just, owning your emotions, right? And that just helps normalize it for other people that need that normalized as well. So yeah, even with my daughters, it's just, I don't really hide my feelings ever or my emotions because they're going to grow up someday and have big feelings too. And they need to know from somewhere that it's okay.
Well, yeah, we're human. Yeah. Right? We're not robots at this point.
Yeah. No, I know, right? That's my fear. We're being taken over. As much as I can love AI.
Right. Yeah. It's coming on fast. It's coming on hard and strong. That's for sure. How do you feel about aging in photography?
Okay, yeah. So this is my unpopular opinion. I don't think it's necessarily a young person's game at all.
That's probably refreshing and gives people a lot of hope. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I would love to hear your thoughts on this.
Okay. Yeah. No, I think just like with gender, like nothing. We all have the potential and opportunity to just be as solid as we can be, and age has nothing to do with that, right? And you really. What the leg up we tend to have is experience. Like you can't put a price on experience, right? Like even for a wedding day to show up and to know exactly what to expect before it's even happening. Like that's not something that really can be matched, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And a lot of the photographers right now that I admire are probably 10, 15 years older than I am and killing it. So yeah, and I'm sure the younger people, they might have their up and coming friends or they're on top of the certain trends, but there's no reason why anybody can't learn those. And also, are those necessarily going to be timeless going forward?
No, I love that. Who are you looking up to right now in the photography world?
Yeah,
that's older than you.
Yeah, so Katie Mary. I think she's older than me. I don't know. All of the photographers that I love right now are more of a mature age. And I think it's just not to say that you can't have more experience at 20. I mean, I'm sure some 20-year-olds have more experience than some 40-year-olds plus. But I think with maturity especially, you kind of learn what you see becomes a bit different as far as what's important. So on a wedding day, maybe it's less of the party scene that maybe some of the younger people are focusing on. I don't know. I shouldn't be generalizing because, again, I believe that everybody has potential to shoot everything really well. But maybe nowadays I would approach a wedding day and I'm focused more on, the grandmother that's wiping away a tear or, she's holding the bride's hand, or the parents looking like really like touchingly at their daughter, or, like you find as you get older, the little moments that really matter in the long run that you're going to look back on when you're flipping through your photos. And
I suppose one fear that comes up a lot with like aging in photography is mobility or being able to handle those like more longer intense days where you're crouching 1,000 times and then standing up or hauling gear and that sort of thing.
Yep. You definitely feel it for days after shooting a 12-hour wedding. Like I don't see myself doing like those big long shoots forever, I guess, right? But I don't think that necessarily means that you're going to lose your presence as a photographer. I think there's always going to be something for us to really, share our excellence and experience in. And it might not be the hustle of a wedding day, right? But it's going to be something else great.
Yeah, exactly. There definitely is going to be an evolution to a career in photography.
Yeah. And maybe it's more the educational space or
exactly
art directing or
totally. Yeah, the world is your oyster.
Yeah.
So what's next for you? Where do you see yourself in 5-10 years?
Yeah, that's a tough one because, 5-10 years ago, I wouldn't have been able to imagine where I am now. So this was announced yesterday, but I'm actually taking over Belle Lumière Magazine.
Oh.
Yeah. So the founder is stepping down, and so I'm stepping into her role.
Wow.
So Belle Lumière is a fine art photography magazine and educational platform. So she features photographers, and there's different educational pieces each week, and there's going to be workshops and retreats and master classes. So
that's exciting.
So that's like new to me. So that's like a brand new, we'll see where I'm going to be taking that. But so that's kind of what's next on the horizon, as well as like our ensemble shoots. I want to travel more. I want to help, continue to foster empowered young ladies that I have that I'm raising, and in general. And just continue living this like happy, beautiful life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're so lucky.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I was fortunate enough to learn at a young age to just love what you're doing now, not when you're retired. You know, I think so many people live their lives hating every day, hating their job. And then they're just like counting on retirement when they're whatever age. And then then you're, I don't know, do you really have the energy to go and do everything? Like live your life and love it now.
Yeah.
And so, I was, I don't know, blessed with parents, I guess, that just let me be who I am. I was never forced into any type of direction, even though like my siblings, they have more like STEM careers, but I was just allowed to be kind of wild and creative and
that's awesome.
Take chances. Yeah.
What advice would you give someone that wants to do what you're doing, like luxury fine art photography?
Yeah. I mean, go for it. Yeah. I think giving advice is tricky because I think then you lose on authenticity and you really just need to trust your gut. And like I said, like somebody might not believe that you can do something, but you might be able to believe you can do something. So just like really trust your gut, trust your intuition, just stay inspired. You have to just really hang on to why you started it in the first place and why you love it. I think a lot of the time, and this has happened with me before too, but as soon as when a passion becomes a career, it kind of loses its magic a little bit, right? And then you kind of want to do it less passionately. So just find a way to still keep the passion alive. And when what you love doing shows through, then that's what's going to attract your clients, and you're going to create your niche that way and stand out. But ultimately just like believe in yourself and go for it. Yeah.
I love that, Lisa. I'm so happy to finally meet you and connect with you and chat with you. I know there's so much more that we could chat about, and I really want to. So I'd love to have you back sometime.
Yeah, I'd love to be back. Yeah.
Where can people find you?
Instagram, it's just at Lisa Catherine Photo, I think. Yeah. And then my website, lisacatherinephotography.com. That's
awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Reach out. Say hi. I'm not scary.
Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Artist Date. If you enjoyed it, please take a moment to subscribe and leave a rating. It really helps more creatives like you discover the show. Don't forget to follow along on Instagram at Artist Date Podcast for behind the scenes updates, inspiring content, and more. New episodes drop every Tuesday. Can't wait to connect with you again soon.